Hello everyone, it's Kay here, and I'm here with a lovely little project that I finished today, and it is again using a rather lovely Digi kit by Ephemera Vintage Gardens, who has a shop on Etsy and is well worth the visit. This particular kit is one made up of the larger components, so it lends itself very well to this kind of album rather than junk journals and that kind of thing by virtue of size. But of course, as everyone knows, if you purchase a digital kit, then you are able to size it appropriately for whatever project you have in mind to do. So, you know, it's all swings and roundabouts, but I decided that I wanted to make another of these handbag albums, primarily because they are lovely to do, and the kit that I've recently purchased is it just lends itself to this project so nicely. So we'll start with the cover, and as you can see, I've used a lace trim just to add a little bit of prettiness to what is already pretty papers, and also to define, if I take the little book out here, also to define the little separation and pocket area on the front page. I've used American seam binding here, a little bit of lace trim here, and then a rather lovely bling-a-ding-ding heart that I've just threaded through things that I've used in the album already, just to keep everything married up and nicely put together. I've used this, which has got a slight stretch to it, on the spine as well, for obvious reasons. I wanted the spine to be free. I didn't want it to come apart, because clearly this is the area that takes most of a bashing from opening and closing pages, but because of the elasticity in that particular trim, it lends itself to wherever the album is opened up and doesn't separate or cause issues. And then on the back here is this beautiful vintage butterfly and the vintage pinks and the stripe that we're all used to seeing in vintage themed films, where they have this type of wallpaper, and the decorative scrolling here. If I lift it up, you can just make it out. It is really delicate, but so pretty, and just adds that extra dimension to the overall design here. Sorry about the shadow, it's you're now directly underneath the camera, so I'll bring that back down, and that is then the covers of this lovely little paper bag album. The thing that I took out from the little pocket there is just two pieces of the ephemera, and actually you could turn it into ATCs or something of that nature if you wanted to. All I've done is simply utilise the line that is within the design to separate each of the pieces, folded it and used it to sew in some clear papers for journaling, jotting down memories or reminders, and it just, by virtue of sitting in that pocket, blends in beautifully. I've got a little button here glued down just to anchor down the thread that I've used to keep all the papers together, and it's a nice little finisher. A little bit of bling up in the corner, and that just makes for a very nice finish. You see I've used the glossy accents here, and what that tends to do is make the flower nestle within the leaves, and it does make those details on the flower just pop out. It looks multi-layered, but actually it is just one dimension. But using the glossy accents behind just gives it that very delicate 3D effect, which enhances the overall decoration. So I'll pop that back inside like so, and you can see it just nestles there really nicely. Clearly, if you made something like this yourself, you can obviously put into the pockets whatever you like, but I don't tend to over clutter. I like things to just sit where they are basically, and act as an addition rather than overriding the overall effect. And then if we take the handle of the front cover, we come into the next 2 pages, and again they are so pretty. I've used the vintage image from the back page, used a piece of another design sheet, and used a Martha Stewart punch just to make a little bit of a tuck spot here. I've not done anything to the butterfly on this page except let it do its own talking, and you can see from the colours it really is delightful. You'll notice the little finger loop here in the page, and that's because all of these pages are actually paper bags. And what you can do, I've got to mend this, it's come undone because I opened it up to show you how it works, but you can get quite a bit of nice little goodies or use it for memorabilia, tickets, little notes, little secret ditties that you might want to keep away from prying eyes, and each of the pages have that facility in them. Just to, I mean, it's obvious that there is a pocket there, but it may not be obvious as to what's in it if you push it right down into the bottom of the page. On the next page here, it's a little bit more busy. I've used a piece of the design paper, put the Martha Stewart punch either side, fussy cut this beautiful butterfly, which is considerably larger than the one on the other page, as you can see, and then I cut out with my Martha Stewart punch some buttons, just past them, thread through them. If I bring it up you'll see, and then anchored them down on the page just for a little bit more interest. But clearly the papers are so lovely, they barely need much by way of embellishment, they just sell themselves. Over here is a double tab which comes as part of the kit, and if I bring one out that I haven't cut out, this is what it looks like, and it is clearly defined so that once you've cut it out you've got this central area you can fold it over. So you could do as I've done and put it either side of quite a thick page, or you could just use it on ordinary paper and lie it flat, and you've got a really pretty embellishment to extra pages that you might want to put in a journal, or perhaps in even in a little album like this. They all work beautifully well. Another piece of the ephemera that you can cut out is another of these beautiful flowers, a different size certainly, but cut out it would add to a pocket or anything like that. And another little circular bit here of the same flower. I mean, there are lots and lots of components to this Digi kit, and I have to say this is all I have left, and I ended up printing off 3 extra sheets, I think it was, purely and simply to be able to change the look of the Digi paper on each of the pages that I've used. This is more of the ephemera in this little pocket here, and you'll see there's a lovely little folder styled thing here. It did have tabs on the top, but I actually cut them off because I wanted it to be just a journaling spot or somewhere to keep some keepsake pieces from a day out. Then there's this as part of the Digi kit, and this final one, and they all just are on each sheet that you, or on a sheet as you print them out from your download. So they're clearly defined as extra pieces, and they're not by any means part of the larger design work that Ephemera Vintage Garden puts into place on the larger components. You'll see here the belly band lifts up. I have put a little bit of an edge on it just to allow a good amount of things to be stored on that page where it to be needful. And then the next page, this amounts to being the centre page, and again it's just a delight of these glorious, glorious papers. You might think, oh, why she bothered doing it when there aren't too many embellishments there, but I think the papers speak for themselves. They are really, really delightful. I'll take out these 3 tags that are also printed and ready to back, and that is literally all I've done with them. I've put on a little bit of a doily here and there, some bling. I've then backed it on some white card and threaded some American seam binding through the top just to give it a little bit of presence. And all 3 of these were part of 6 tags on one page within the kit. So even were you to be a great fan of the recent tag kits that people are making, you could print that out to the largest size and there would be these beautiful tags then made in readiness to make one of those lovely tag kits. So I'll pop that back in for you to see how it sits, and it really is just such a lovely, lovely combination. There is nothing on the bottom here except the paper, and I have used another of the little tabs just for decorative purposes, because obviously having put one on a previous page, I did need to utilise another one. This is another pocket at the top here, ready to hold some secret goodies. And then the next page, this page is typical of the larger ephemera, but I don't mind that. I think that's really quite pretty, particularly since there is another pocket here, and within the kit you get these lovely little, sorry about that, you get these lovely little envelopes. I've just used the Martha Stewart buttons again, and it just opens up like so and becomes a lovely little storage wallet for some little trinkets or bits and pieces that you would want to keep safe, and it all folds over like that. And then it's just the traditional figure of 8 with the baker's twine to tidy it all up again. And I've just got that held in place with one of these tiny bulldog clips, which suffices. It's plenty enough for such a large page. It holds it there beautifully. And another of the tabs on the page to keep it right. And then on the following page, more of these delightful tags, and look at the detail on this. It just is so, I love that scroll work. I love the pink and green. And then I've saved that really, really delicate bit to go over the pocket in this page. I just think it's so lovely. I've just emphasised it that little bit with the gems, and that just brings out the key points within the scroll work. And then here are 3 more tags. They are made up the same, but what I have done is inked the doily, put them on in different places, and just really made them different by virtue of the fact that they are different papers anyway. But the doilies always add that little bit of something to your project. And then again, the American seam binding that just fits in really well with the overall colours within the album. That one goes down there. And then finally, this is the last page, another pocket there, your main pocket for the album. And I've just cut out little bits and pieces from the Digi kit, used a bit more of the glossy accents just to bring the eye a little bit closer into the detail of the butterfly, more of the buttons, and I've made another little journaling book, you might call it. There's a little bit of it's it says Believe. It's just one of those little, you can almost use it in jewellery making and that kind of thing. And a rather lovely little diamante ball, just holding on to the edge where I've stitched from the centre in and around and tied the threads off on the outside. And again, it's another of the little journaling books, just so that whoever uses the album has plenty of space to write in and personalise it and make it their own. So I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough. Do go along to Ephemera Vintage Garden, check out her Digi kits. They really are beautiful. I know I say that about everything that I use, but you know, I like to think that I bring things that are of a very nice finish to the table, just to let people see that these things are out there. Really, people that make albums and so on already know how wonderful these Digi kits are, but if it's not something that you've not felt you wanted to do, then I would highly recommend you use this as a alternative if there's something you'd like to try, because it really is down to the eye of the beholder as to how you use what's available in the kits, and the kits are very, very reasonably priced. So I'll leave this with you. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and I will speak to you all again soon. Happy crafting. Bye bye for now.